Welcome everyone, and we're here just to share another little leadership thought. Today is a very practical lesson. So I'm actually going to call this, and this is something that would be useful to every leader, all right, because we all want to recruit more people. So I'm going to actually do a little talk on called the excellent ask. So how do we ask someone to join our team and we make it a brilliant, well thought through way? It's not just like, hey, I think you should be on our team, do you want to help? That's never going to work. All right, so there's a couple of principles that I want to touch on that I believe that we need to focus on. So when we're talking about volunteers, there's three areas we need to touch. We need to touch their heads, all right? Actually, let's do it in this order. We need to touch their hearts first, all right? Then their heads, then their hands. So the idea is, how do we get them to get a heart for what we're doing and what they're doing? How do we get them to think through the logistics of them being involved, the head side? And then how do we get their hands, the practical side of what they actually do for us, all right? Because that's what they're going to do. I don't have a heart for making coffee, or I love making coffee. Then I actually work on Sundays, I can't come. Oh no, I can come. So now the heart and the head and the skill, well, let's train you to be a barista, all right? So we got to get all three. So when we're looking at volunteers, how many have we got now? How many do we need? All right, let's focus on the gap, all right? So we can go for the ideal. So where are we and what's possible? Ephesians chapter 4, verse 16 says this: every joint supplying and everyone doing their share will cause the body to grow. All right, so we want to pick up on that scripture because we got to realize that they're going to grow. The church is going to grow. The kingdom's going to grow. So this is a discipleship process. It's not about us just fixing the hole in our team, although that is an issue. It's not about us using people. We never use people, we develop people, right? Because when everyone gets involved, the body grows. They grow, the church grows. So how can we be using people if God's growing his kingdom? God wouldn't use people to grow his kingdom. God would develop people in the process, right? So it's a different philosophy, right? And it's biblical. So I'm going to give you some 5 points to your excellent ask, all right? The first one that we always start with is affirmation. So we've got to affirm the person, all right? So that would be an encouragement, that would be an acknowledgement, that would be a great greeting to them, all right? So I'm going to give you how to do this at the end. I'm going to give you the 5 principles first. The second one is visionary. So we want to be visionary because the church has a vision, because we have a vision for your life, because God's got a vision for your life, right? The third one is transformational. All right, so we want to see them grow and change. And so we care about them and we want to see them on the path to development and growth. The fourth one is practical. So we want to show them in a very practical way how they can get involved and what that is actually entails. And the last one is spiritual. All right, so we want them to pray about their involvement with us. So that, again, I have a conviction that if God sends them, then they're not volunteers. They feel a sense of calling to the ministry. Now, many of us may start out just helping out in a practical way, but as we grow in that area of ministry, the calling grows on our life and we become much more convinced and convicted about the area of ministry that God's got us involved in. So the excellent ask might go something like this. All right, I'm going to need a volunteer. All right, so Zoe is our volunteer today. So come up here, Zoe. Yeah, come stand over here. All right, so Zoe, come over here a little bit further. All right, so you can look at me. All right, well, you and I are talking. All right, okay. All right, so Zoe, it's great to have you in our church today. All right, that's the affirmation part, all right? So we're affirming her as being a member of the church, all right? So I'm going to do it slow, then I'm going to do it fast. Because New Life's got a vision, all right? And because we have a vision for you. There's an opportunity that I've been thinking about for you. All right? That's vision, right? Then the transformational. So I'm very excited for you as a disciple to grow in Jesus about what I'm about to talk to you about next. All right? So there's the transformational part. The practical, here is a one-pager on what I'd love you to take home and have a look at, because that's what I'd love you to be involved in. And I want you to pray about it, all right? So next week, I'm going to give you 7 days. I'm going to come back and talk to you, but I want you to really go home and pray about it. Do you think you can do that? Yeah. All right, done. Thanks, Zoe. Great. Let's thank Zoe. So I'm just going to go through it a bit quicker now because I kind of stopped and talked through it. So again, much better than just, I think I want you to join my team. Yeah. So here we go again. So it's Zoe, it's great to have you in our church. And I love being a leader here, and I love having you in the church, all right? So there's an affirmation. But because of the vision that we have at New Life, there's a great opportunity coming up, and I actually have had you in mind. So I'm very excited for you, as an opportunity to grow and as a disciple, what I'm about to talk to you about next. In fact, I've brought a one-pager along, what I'd love you to consider having a look at. So we'd love you to be on our team. I'd love you to pray about it. But take this piece of paper and have a look at it. It's a one-pager of the things that I'd have you involved in. And I'd like you to pray. And I'm going to call back and see in 7 days. I'm just going to see what God says. How do you feel about that? Yep, that'd be great. All right. Well, thanks. That's really, really great, Zoe. I'll be praying for you as well. All right. So there you go. So I just did what I call the excellent ask. All right, and so I've given you might go back and write it all down and think it through and write out your script and have your one-pager ready. But if we are really serious about recruiting volunteers, then that is a great way. All right, someone taught me this years ago. I'm passing it on to you. And this is a great way for us to actually recruit volunteers. So today, we're simply doing the excellent ask, a visionary kind of way of engaging our volunteers and using the correct language, the correct approach. We're organized, God's involved, vision is there, discipleship is there, development is there. We touched on all the correct elements to develop people, and we left it with them and God. What else can we do? All right. So I'd love you to have a look at that. And then, of course, there's many other things we could go into practical about then how we then develop them when they get there and make sure they have a good experience and coming into our team, meeting with our team, one-on-one team meetings, all that kind of stuff we go on. But I'm just going to leave it right there. So there you go. The excellent ask, the 5 keys to it. Let me give them to you again. So number 1, affirmation. Number 2, visionary. Number 3, transformational. Number 4, practical. Number 5, spiritual. Yep. All right. So have a practice at it. Have a think about it. Get good at it. Remember it. Prepare for it. And you will be a great recruiter of volunteers. Not only that, we actually will be making disciples in the church, and that's what we're about. Yeah. We'll be actually doing what Ephesians 4 says, when every joint supplying, everyone doing their share will cause the body to grow. And you know what? We'll cause them to grow, and the whole church will benefit. God bless you. Have a great week.